Coyote. How's your week been, rather?
My week has been good. It's been quite an eventful week for media.
I like the way you said it in media in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
So right now it means that with this state of emergency, we are completely doing away with Natasha Nakpabio.
I'll leave that conversation for another day. That's a human rights conversation.
Anyway,
yeah, speaking
we have an old timer in there. Before we even announce anything. It used to be in the, should we say the 7th Assembly or the 5th Assembly or Everyday Morning Man?
7th.
It used to be the 7th Assembly.
Yeah.
Now, which assembly are we now in the Everyday Morning Man?
12th.
12th.
12th generation.
That's what you call proper democracy. You let the next generation come on and take on, and then you bring more and more people. You will retire from service one day.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean,
that is the voice of Uade
Ahimie.
Yeah. Good morning, Ogeva. Good morning, Kyle. It's great to be here. Today we're talking some very interesting things.
Yeah. You know, not today. We're flipping it a bit. Okay. You know, not as technical as the last couple of weeks. We are not telling how a great CEO is, but we're focusing on how not to be a great, how not to be a what's the word? What they bring me in? Sorry. How not to run a company as a CEO.
How not to run a company as a CEO.
Thank you. So that's what we're looking. So I mean, if you are aspiring to become a business owner, if you are a business owner, or generally an entrepreneur, I think this conversation will definitely be, be of some great good to you. And like I'll introduce him again, Uade Ahimie, who is head of strategy and public affairs, and definitely a thought leadership expert. He's going to be helping us, dissect this. And without further ado, we'll go straight into it, right? Well, let's start with the know-it-all CEO, right? So from my own experience, and what we've highlighted here a couple of times really is, being a great CEO is ensuring that your team can work, independent of you, right? So, Uade, you agree it is one of the biggest mistakes of a CEO, having a know-it-all approach to work.
And I agree with you. So why do I say that? Because having been at the helms of affairs of a couple of companies, I clearly understand that you need to listen and you need to engage. People will tell you that a CEO is a jack of all trades and not a master of all, but has knowledge of all, so that he can listen, are you with me, and balance it out in terms of decision making. And you need a team. So let me give you an example. If you, as let me say an economist, for instance, or an accountant is running an engineering firm that builds roads and construction, what do you really know? As a CEO, what you want to do is ensure that team is able to deliver and look at what the financial implications will be towards ensuring that you're saving costs and meeting the best quality that you have. So you need to engage and listen to your team and understand what that process value is. And then from there, you know exactly what kind of decisions you need to make, especially as it relates to how the work to be done, the process, the funding, and putting those structures in place, but letting those people ensure that they carry out their activity. Not saying, oh, no, I want the pillar like this. You really don't have an idea of what the strength of materials will be for that pillar. And so it's important that as a CEO, you don't think you know it all. You must have an open mind and share your own opinion and thoughts so that other people can think about it and find a better way to ensure that things are done right, rather than just saying, no, this is my way or
the highway. Like Coyote.
It's my
way or the highway.
Like the car they say Section 305 says doesn't give the president permission.
You are suspended.
Yeah.
See further notice.
He said doesn't give one. I haven't said he gives. I only read out. I only read out what the section
You see, this is the beauty of talking. He said he read something. We have translated it into something.
Yes.
And then by the time we leave here, and someone else will listen to it, we translate it into
something else. So that I mean, your points are actually valid, because I also feel at the end of the day, right? Why hire the team if you feel you know it all, right? So I mean, from this, I want to look from the staff's point of view now in regards to this. Like, I mean, the staff, after some time, I guess the staff will even feel like, why am I here, right? If I can't make these decisions, if I can't do this.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
like I always say, there's no self-made man. Or there's no self-made business. You need people.
You can't even succeed without a team. As every business has staff.
Okay, but you can't succeed as a human being without people around
you. Exactly. So, moving on, and to add to that, like, so definitely, I feel employees need to understand clearly what their roles are in an organization, and how they execute, right? So they can see the bigger picture. So, does lack of vision affect, the work process within the office? Lack of vision from the CEO.
So I wouldn't say it's lack of vision from the CEO. It's more like, most CEOs will tell you this is my vision. Is lack of him being able to bring that vision to every employee so that they can lock into it.
Yeah.
Because what then happens is that whether it's a founder or a CEO who is employed, they have, this is the direction we want to go, but you need to break it down so that everybody agrees and tunes into that direction, so that at the end of the day, it's not just your vision. It's the let's remember this. It's an organizational vision.
Yeah.
And it means that every employee has to be in sync with that organization's vision.
Yeah.
Where employees don't really see, they see the vision, but they don't understand what exactly you are trying what exactly the vision is trying to say. Everybody just comes in and says, okay, what's my work? Okay, my work is to come to EMM every Wednesday. So I come to EMM, the script is ready. Once it's done, boom, we're gone. What extra things do you need to do
afterwards?
Exactly, to continually put in place new ideas, new things. And when you don't let the employees get engaged in that vision, then what then happens is that productivity will suffer, because people will now just look at it. My work is 9 to 5. And after 5 o'clock, I shut down. That's the end until I come back the next day. And then Monday to Friday is when I work. I don't work on Saturday and Sunday.
That person is lucky, because me, I work every day, really.
But that's what I'm saying. If the employee is tied into that vision, whether he's sleeping or he's eating or he's taking a bathroom break, everything he thinks about is that vision.
So he will key.
He's already keyed in. So he's thinking, he wakes up in the morning and has his pad, or in the day you don't need pad, you type on your phone, things to do tomorrow. But where you don't really understand, or there's no clear path for you to understand how you fit into that vision, then you have a challenge, and then employee productivity does suffer.
Definitely. So another big one for me really is ignoring workplace culture. So a lot of CEOs are basically focused on the numbers, and they generally forget that it's people, human beings. Do you understand that they're executing for them? And I think it's a recipe for disaster, really. So can you shed more light on the fact that a CEO takes that route, right? Ignoring workplace culture to just focus on the numbers and just drive. What are the demerits really from?
So the first thing you have to ask yourself is there a workplace culture? How have you built that culture? Is it a culture where people are engaged, or people even understand what the culture is, or it's just a culture where people say, okay, I am the boss and what the boss says is right. Where you have those kind of culture, the first thing that happens is that you have a lot of what do you call those things? People who are transitioning. Even you have great people who come in and people, they just get the beats that they want to get on and then they move on. So the first thing you need to build is build a culture where everybody is all inclusive. And all inclusive means that you have a voice, they have a voice, and that voice speaks to you, excuse me, and clearly helps you understand, like I said, and latch back into that vision that you have for the organization, or the organizational vision. So like I was saying earlier, the point is, it's not the vision of the CEO, it's the vision of the organization. And when you understand that, it means that the culture of the organization, not the culture of the CEO, the culture of the organization becomes very critical. So in building that, you build a culture for the organization, because the one thing we should remember, even as CEO, as founder, as co-founder, is that one day we will move on. Either we move on or to retire, or we move on because we have expired, at times have expired on earth, or maybe because of some emergency, we will move on. So what's the culture that has been left behind for the next set of people? Is it a culture of me, myself, and I, or is it a culture of team bonding and teamwork where everybody delivers and everybody's voice is heard, even up to the general manager at the gate? Do you understand? And that is very, very important for organizations to continue growing and building. And at the end of the day, it builds a lot of sustainability, because when you retire, you find out that, let me give a good example, a couple of examples. Microsoft, the founder, the man has, over the last 3 decades, he's done more philanthropy than he's run Microsoft.
Exactly.
Do you understand?
And I still ask that question every day.
You ask the question, I mean, why is he doing that?
Why is he?
Yeah, because the man has retired and his shares are working for him.
You can cross his leg and just have fun, right?
Well, you call it having fun. He calls it, what's it called? Making the world a better place.
Yeah, fair enough. Bill Gates. I'll have a lot of things to say about Bill Gates. So let's not.
I use that example.
Yeah, but I get what you. I get the message.
Exactly. Look at Apple, for instance. Steve Jobs has been. First of all, people tend to forget that Steve Jobs first worked in Apple and he was fired.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only one that set up Apple. There's a Steve Wozniak, who actually wrote those codes that became what Apple Computer is. Jobs was a salesman, but at the end of the day, even the Wozniak, nobody even hears about him. But every day the Apple shares goes up, the man can breathe better, you know, and that kind of thing. So that's the kind of culture you find out that people enjoy culture of hard work because they believe that they are part and parcel of that system, of that organization. When people start to feel that, man, I really don't know this. Yeah, you have, you know, your clear, what you call your vision or your statement mark, greatest. I mean, what do you call Nigeria? Giants of Africa. But the question is everybody tied into that vision of Nigeria being the giants of Africa? And that's where vision and the people who drive that vision become very important.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think key point there is really understanding that the organization has its vision, and everyone, including the CEO, should align with that.
Even if it's the CEO that defined that vision. It must be an organizational vision.
Yeah, I think that's why we have our mission statements, our vision statements. Thank you for sharing more of that. Then, so I mean, with all this, setting the bar too low. Now I know a lot of CEOs definitely won't think they're setting the bar low, right? But I think with the key, a couple of the points we just highlighted, right? Most of all the questions, I think bringing that together, somewhat translate to setting the bar low, because if it's one person if it's the CEO that just focused on only him is only what he says, right? I feel in turn it actually sets the bar low, because I believe two heads are better than one, right? So if it's one person that that is driving everything, I believe the standard will drop, because some other heads that would have come into it to actually build a better, a bigger and higher standard for the organization, someone feel it translates to that. So I mean, that's my opinion in regards to setting the bar low, but I'd like to hear what.
So I clearly hear you and understand where you're coming from. But the other part of it for me is this: whether it's two heads are better than one or four heads are better than two. Although the animal farm will tell you we all have four legs, but two legs seems to be the right way to walk. Anyway, but coming back to it, yes, I do agree that once you have that kind of situation, you inadvertently start to set the bar low. Why? Because people become disinterested in a number of things. It just now becomes what you call an assembly line.
Yeah.
In the sense that I come to work. What do you want me to do? Have I done it? I tick off my boxes and I move. I don't think as an entrepreneur. And who is an entrepreneur? People always think that entrepreneurship is. There are so many entrepreneurs who build products, services. Are you with me? In organizations, Google, for instance, have a lot of entrepreneurs because they're creating new things. Apple, the same way. I'm using all these companies.
A lot of our guests have complained that we always use foreign people as examples.
And I will use Nigeria. I will use Nigerian, what's it called? Nigerian organization.
Dangote, I think that's a convenience.
Well,
what do you call them? Those are so there. Those two guys, what's their name again?
What's it called? The payment platform.
Paystack.
Exactly. I'm not trying to do adverts for these people, but
I get you.
So people like Paystack.
For Apple.
That's why, because I'm not selling their product. But Paystack is a good example. Money Point. Opay. I know that the one-time CEO of Opay has moved on. He's gone to become a member of the board of one of the LBS, let me just call it. And you can see that transitioning. And that's what I say. What's that vision for that organization? So once you do that, it then means that everybody latches onto it, creates new things in their head towards ensuring that that vision is always continually being met. Rather than just saying, like you said, it's my way or the highway. And so many times people take the highway. It can be dangerous. It might be, it's not
jobless.
It's not the autobahn where the speed limit is what's it called? In Nigerian highway, 80 kilometers. So if you do 120, you just might die.
And nobody wants to
exactly. So that's it. So you must encourage, the teams to stretch beyond what you think they are doing. You must give them an opportunity to believe in themselves, because like I said, you would retire as a CEO whether you like it or not, because like I say, body no be wood. You understand? Either you fall ill, you could get tired, you could grow old, and when you grow older, you start to reminisce on a number of things that you want to do. And that way, if you're not building the next generation of leaders, then who takes over your company?
It'll be difficult to hand over.
And that's one of the major things I see in Africa, especially with African businesses. And I will give you a few that I've grown up with that I can't hear anymore. Abiola's Empire, Fajem Irokun, just name them. There are a number of them also in the north and in the east. Kennedy Lichuku, they still are in business, but at the point in time,
exactly the Hebrews, like I went
the Hebrews,
because they are from Ugele when they.
Let me tell you.
Stretch of road.
Let me tell you. You're talking about Ugele. I'm telling you about the Igbo fisheries. Eleganza is another one. Igbo fisheries had cold rooms in all the states in Nigeria.
Really?
Oh yes.
if you see the factories,
their assets in this country,
they have their own beer.
They had access to jetties and so on. So, and that's always the question, because let's always remember one thing.
I think we should do it.
Let's remember one thing. Are you with me?
Yeah, me too, sir.
Your children might not be willing to take over that business.
Or they might be willing but not have the capacity.
Even if they have the capacity. A good example I would give to you is Diamond Bank. The guy was more interested in the fintech side, and which is what he's doing today and excelling. So what happened? At the end of the day, Access Bank, which was good for him, you make your money and move on and still have shares in people who really want to do the banking. These are all examples in Nigeria. So if you do that, like you said, you are setting that bar low. Why? Because people are not thinking, they're not creating entrepreneurship in that business and so on. And you must create that corridor or that pipeline that brings in people who want to make a difference and continually make a difference.
So what you're saying, because we need to begin our journey back home, what you're saying is that business should not be treated like spiritual anointing that has to be passed from father to son.
Not necessarily.
And so you choose who you need to pass it over to.
Yes.
So if you want to treat like anointing because you're a Christian, be like Elijah.
Yes. I know where you're going with this guy.
And when you look at it, that's why one of the reasons let me tell you, family businesses contribute at least 40 to 50%.
I'm so big on generational wealth.
No. Yeah. And family businesses contribute at least 50 to 60% of the world's GDP.
Yeah, because the family, so everybody just resumes.
Is Coca-Cola. I hear.
Oh, you're talking about Coca-Cola.
The family members have shares, but they are not the ones.
You're talking about Coca-Cola. I'm talking about, what's his name? Oil and gas. The Rockefeller family.
Yeah. Oh, those guys.
So let me tell you one thing about So let me tell you one thing about it. There is no major oil and gas company in the world that the Rockefeller Foundation doesn't have at least a percentage. Wow. Both in the Middle East, in America, in Europe. Yeah. Why? Because a lot of all those things were a spin-off of Standard Oil that belonged to Rockefeller. And he opened up all these places all over the world. That's why the Rockefeller Foundation is probably the wealthiest foundation in the world. Yeah, and they push a lot of things in that space. And that's it. So, like you said, that's setting the bar low. Otherwise, people are not going to be interested. And then, let me tell you one of the easiest things people just want to do. I just want to get a job done, collect my salary, and hope that I get a promotion. So I put in that extra effort to get that next promotion so that my salary can go. And I live every day.
Okay, so this is an open question to you, and I'm going to start with you, Kaidi. So don't worry, you see now, so you can relate. Micromanaging, as far as I'm concerned, it has a lot of these disadvantages in the office environment, right? So can you give me your opinion of micromanaging in the context of this conversation? Then we'll hear Uade's point of view.
Okay, I'll take it from two angles. First of all, the MD or the owner of the company needs to be matured enough to allow people function. Some people hold on to the business and they want to see it through. They don't trust that you can do the job because they believe all the ideas in their brain. They are the only ones that can see it through. So for everything you do, you must run it by them. I know of a company, I won't mention the name because it's
let's not put somebody in trouble.
If that man goes today, that company, as big as it is in Nigeria,
will die.
Because in everything, even publishing or whatever they're doing, he must see the final copy before it goes through. Wow. Irrespective of wherever he is in the world. So that definitely will stagnate the growth of the company. And the other angle, however, is that as a business owner, even if you want to release your company for the staff to run, you must make sure that you engage competent hands. Because while you might not want to micromanage, you might be compelled. Because if everything they do, because you've engaged people who are not competent, who are not ready, are not able to take you to that place where you want to go to. I mean, remember the Mark Zuckerberg story, when it got to a stage, you needed to scale up and needed a certain level of hands. And if you don't have those hands, you might be compelled to micromanage. And the more you micromanage, the less time you have to develop the brand,
bigger picture,
you know,
strategic
bigger picture
thinking.
with it. So
Yeah.
those are the two
Okay,
aspects.
so
fine.
so
I
let me
think that
let me
those 2 points are
let
nice.
me let me take it from that your second point. So who is a competent hand? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you with me? You identify people and say, okay, come into my business, come and help me do this. Do you get? Then you must give them a chance to show their competency. Not every time you try and do something, it's like, no, which is the second part you're talking about. If I don't see it, it can't go.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous, which is what you see. And this is my own opinion, which is what I have seen, having been in corporate world for over 3 decades.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it also. But you got to a point where when you fight it, the owners of the business now start to look at it and realize that if I'm expanding and growing that much, I can't be in 4 continents
At the same time.
So what do? You must build systems and processes that engage and guide that. And which is what a number of Nigerian businesses or African businesses don't want to do.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's all about me. So I'll leave it at that. So micromanaging for me is a no-no. That's why they say the team together, everyone achieves more. That's what the team is all about. And you must let it be that way. So I'll rest at that.
Oliver, you have 10 seconds.
Okay.
If not, I'll declare state of emergency. Anyway, that is Everyday Money Matters, brought to you by the Nairametrics team on Tuesdays and Thursdays on X for the X Spaces. And go to the website, make sure that you go there and get an update. You'll be shocked that you get an angle to the river story, the value that will be lost or gained.
On the Nairametrics website, definitely we have that story.
Just to add to that, the Nairametrics Capital Market Choice Award is coming soon.
Okay.
So is on the burner. So prepare for it.